CWL Anaheim Open. We now just have 3 teams left standing. Of course, for Luminosity Gaming, they booked their ticket in the grand final. The only question that remains is who will be joining them. We know they're going to be European, but will it be Epsilon or will it be Splyce? Of course, remember, we've already seen this matchup once.
Yeah, and we've seen it, once this tournament, but also previously in Epsilon, they've had Splyce's number. This Epsilon roster hasn't lost to this Splyce roster ever on LAN. It just hasn't happened. However, I feel with Splyce coming off a very, very hot win on Cloud9, 3-0, and the complete opposite for Epsilon. They've come off a pretty big beating from Luminosity. I am still going to go in with Splyce being my favorite, my pick for this one, but I see this going to a game 4 or 5 minimum.
Of course, there is a first time for everything. Merc, will this be the first time Splyce can manage to secure that win?
I think it has to happen soon, right? I mean, there's just so many times that Epsilon has had their number, and it's really hard to consistently beat a team because, Splyce, they're going to make adjustments. They're going to make, search and destroy adjustments where Epsilon has really been taking advantage of them, and that's just, it's so tough to consistently beat a squadron. You just learn all of their tendencies. And I was talking to Mad Cat, he goes, I mean, they kind of stole our gameplay, so maybe they'll switch some things up and throw him a curveball. Interesting proof. What are your thoughts about this upcoming series?
I think Splyce is definitely fired up. Every time I talk to Zero, it seems like he wants to play the competition. And if Epsilon just beat you, I know the only thing in his mind right now is revenge. So I want to see this series go down, and I'm calling Splyce to win it.
Splyce to win. So you're saying Splyce may get that first victory. And for that first victory to happen, Memo, what do they need to do? Who needs to step up to the plate?
Honestly, I don't think it's one particular person from Splyce. I think they just need to win map 1. They need to win map 1, get that confidence. If they go down 1-0 again, which they have done 3 times in a row now to this roster, it puts that doubt in your mind. And I think players like Zero, who, strangely enough, hasn't got the most experience, in Europe, he loses that map 1, he's thinking straight away, this is not happening again. We are not losing. Like, you have those doubts, but if he wins the first, he's like, hyped up, he knows this is his time, and I think he can do it.
And the biggest thing is that Stage 1 playoffs, he was screaming in that arena, and you really haven't seen that from him, but just versus Cloud9, he was back. He was getting his team pumped up, and that's what you want to see. A lot of people consider him the best player in the world, and you have to consistently bring that energy. It's so hard to consistently perform at that level, but if he can keep it up, it's going to be a very tough game for us.
MVP Zero.
And potentially. Obviously, to touch on that first series that we saw between the 2 teams, the first Hardpoint, Epsilon, they managed to take the search and destroy on Crusher. It was a 6-0, let's not forget. Epsilon gave them the hands. It was Dave with the nice ace and a 1v2 clutch. It was only the Uplink, which was a throwback, which Splyce was able to take, and then the Hardpoint Scorch was 250 to 220. Here's a look at the maps for this series.
Just want to point out straight away that this really does favor Splyce. First of all, there's no Crusher S&D. Well, second of all, that first map, throwback Hardpoint, speaking to Josh and Dave just backstage, they said there's 2 maps on Hardpoint we really do struggle with. It's our throwback and Scorch. He said Scorch are either the best or worst, it's 50-50, but throwback, we struggle on that map on Hardpoint. So again, this makes me lean even more towards Splyce. And Splyce again, Splyce on Frost Uplink is really, really dangerous.
Yeah, but we also saw Epsilon play amazing on the map. Vortex was going off with an E-Rad, so again, a lot of pressure on Vortex. He's sort of been the quiet guy. We talk a lot about sort of Hockey and Dave as their main slayers, but Vortex, he's had some really great E-Rad games.
Definitely has. Excited to get this one underway. Of course, for the winner of this, they will progress through to that grand final, but that's when they're going to have to go up against Luminosity Gaming, where you have to just beat them once, you do have to beat them twice, and that is not going to be an easy task. That is for sure. Epsilon versus Splyce, the losers bracket final here at the CWL Anaheim Open, about to get underway. We can send it down to our casters for the series.
Thank you so much, Benson. It's my lucky day. The winners bracket finals and now the losers bracket finals. This is the rematch from the start of the day. In the winners semis, we saw Epsilon go up over Splyce. And we should remind people what happened back at Birmingham. Of course, Epsilon, they won the grand finals, both best of 5s, 3-0. But before that, they did match up in the winners bracket finals, and Splyce was able to get a lead. So Splyce has done this before, just not in the last 3 matches.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned that in the interview I had with Dave earlier on. A 9-1 overall map count between Epsilon and Splyce in favor of Epsilon in their last 3 series. I cannot believe this is the losers bracket final we're about to cast, but Chris, at the same time, I made a courageous, a bold predictions video for MLG earlier this week. I said FaZe wouldn't make top 8. They didn't make top 8. I said Mind Freak would get second in their pool. Okay, that was far from true.
Yep, they didn't win a game.
They didn't win a single game. And then obviously my final one was that I was expecting an all-EU winners bracket final. Well, it's not an all-EU winners bracket final. It's an all-EU losers bracket final. Either way, these two teams impressing this weekend.
It's awesome to see this. We've always been talking about when is Europe going to kind of reach their full potential and match the powerhouse teams that we see from North America. Well, Splyce, they finally lift a trophy for EU back at Stage 1. Now they have a chance at a rematch from that Stage 1 finals, but they have to get through the team that has been the thorn in their side, a squad that just seems to have their number in the matchup. There's a look at Vortex. His squad, Epsilon, has caused so many problems for Bance as of late.
Don't forget, this is a guy at Vortex who got 4th at Champs this past year. These guys have been doing better and better in these overall international placings. One thing to keep in mind, when Splyce won that Stage 1 championship, that Stage 1 playoff first place victory, they were coming from the winner's bracket side. All they needed to do was win one best of 5. It went down to a Game 5, round 11. But you think now, if Splyce get back in the final again against LG, they've now got to win 2 best of 5s against a team that is 9-2 overall in map count so far in the winner's bracket in LG. That is a tough, tough task.
We'll get to that grand finals in just a little bit, but first, we got our losers bracket finals. Who's walking away with a guaranteed $48,000, and who is going to go home with a measly 32 grand for a weekend of work?
Only $32,000 for one weekend. Unfortunately, someone will have to deal with that horrible, horrible amount. But no, it's great stuff to see for the EU players. I know a lot of people across the pond are excited for this one. It's a rematch of the CWL Birmingham Open Grand Finals. I don't want to get roasted by Avini on Reddit. I'm sure what you're
not Alabama, man. You can't say Birmingham.
Exactly. I'm making sure there's a difference there. Either way, though, I'm going to go out and say it. I'm going to go Splyce to take the series.
I was feeling Splyce too, and the reason is they're coming off the hot win over C9. You just gave Aches a hot 3-0. You sent them packing with 4th place. You have some momentum, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking back to what happened at the start of the day.
Oh, yeah.
You let Vortex go off on you at the ERAD. Hockey was causing problems. And then Dave, he shined as the series progressed. Dave, though, he's coming off a terrible performance against Luminosity. So for me, you got to hit him while he's down. Try and get out to an early lead if you're the yellow team.
And think of this if you're Epsilon, right? Think if you don't make the finals and you drop the series to Splyce. Epsilon beat LG in pools earlier this weekend, only to lose to them in the winner's bracket final. Obviously, Epsilon beat Splyce earlier today. They would be heartbroken if they're now knocked out by a team they've already taken a series off of. Let's get it started. It's game number 1. Epsilon out to the early lead.
And Vortex again causing problems. This time it's the double kill with the K-bar at the start. Josh working around the perimeter, making sure no flanks will be coming in behind his teammate. And Josh is finally going to fall as Madcat and Bance are surging together. Vortex only one up for Epsilon. He's able to pick one, but Splyce is too strong. Bance, now on a 2 streak, is going to be my player to watch throughout this game.
And remember, for everybody at home wondering, hey, I haven't watched too much European Call of Duty so far this year. Wasn't Josh on Splyce? Yes, he was.
Yes.
But there was the full roster change. Obviously, some drama involved there. Talking about, Josh was too heavy on the communication. It was Josh's way or the highway, and it didn't work for Splyce. They wound up making that change, and for majority of people, they think both teams improved from there, and I think it shows right here with 2 of them making the top 3. Keep an eye on Josh as his main NV4 battle throughout the series will be up against our Stage 1 MVP Zero.
Dave was kind of shut down by Luminosity, but he had the hottest hand in the opening fights. He was 5-3, now down to 5-4. Vortex is going to fall as well, but keep your eyes on these 2 players. Jerd on your screen with the ERAD just picked up the double. He's on a 3, make it 4 streak with that kill. He's locked down the barn. He has to find Dave. Dave is behind enemy lines, and if he gets this kill, Splyce will be set up for success.
This is an example of where Jerd is the most annoying player in all of European Call of Duty. He can get towards that back side of the map and play his life so well. Look at what just happened right there. He danced around, bought time, he got some help from his teammate. They knew there was one Epsilon player they had to kill off. They do just that. Madcat holds the front door, and now Splyce have a 15-second lead because of it.
I was going to say credit to Jerd's dance moves, but also Madcat's triple kill. A big 3 kills scoring, so many points in the barn. You now see Splyce with their first lead of the game. It was Epsilon on our first hard point, all Splyce on the second. second, and they seem to be in control at the start of this third one.
And what I love right here from Bance is he's actually your number 3 on the minimap. He's playing from top middle control. He wants to be able to stop the players from Epsilon from even having a chance to contest right now. He's done just that. He's still pushing on through as his goal is to now take control of this right side of the map and force those blue arrows to spawn out at Grandma's where they are now, because that is not where the next hill will be.
And as we're watching this game, I've been putting a lot of emphasis on streaks, because we saw just how Luminosity devastated Epsilon with it in that last series. How big are streaks on a map like Throwback?
They're important, but wow, okay, first off, Dave is just shredding right now on a 4 streak. He's trying to go for those, as he just mentioned, but back to the question you brought up. Throwback of a map not nearly as important as some of the others. You think of Retaliation can completely wipe a team from a hill and force spawns across the map. Breakout's another one that comes to mind. But because there's so many close spawns on this smaller map that is Throwback, you can easily get right back into the action after being blown up from the streak.
Jerd dancing around in the back line once again, tagged up by grenades, spraying and praying for the kill. His teammate's gonna get in there. And Jerd is staying alive, causing problems. He's the guy you gotta pick first if you're gonna try and slide in as Epsilon.
And look at how fast he plays. To only have 7 deaths is a testament to how good he does at staying alive, especially when he's at the second most, now the most objective time for his team. The man just knows how to be a distraction.
And I wanna give massive credit there to Vortex. I believe he used his FTL jump to pick up the double. He cleaned up the players in the back. That opened up the rest of the baseball field. And now it looks like Jack at 14-9, Vortex is going to lead his team back to about a 10-point differential in the scoreboard. Epsilon could narrow the gap here.
Realistically, you've got a great start from Dave and Vortex, but Epsilon are down right now because they've got one of their leaders in Josh at 5 and 14. The slang about even. You need all 4 players to be going big right now for Epsilon. It's been a key to their success, Puckett, in their last 3 series they've had against Splyce. Everybody has shown up, and it's why they've won their last 3 series.
Josh was kind of the best player for Epsilon when they played against Luminosity on Retaliation. Off to a slow start here, but at any moment he can turn up. Currently on a 3 streak. Josh is going to be looking for, finds the 4th. Dave is there to help out with 0. Train platform. This is where they started their lead. They have retaken the lead as we're now on the 2nd rotation. A few Scarabs to work with, but really no Trinity Rockets that will come into play on our center hill. Hockey's finally going to fall, but Splyce has not been able to touch this center point.
Yeah, not only have they not been able to touch that, they're spawning far out for what's going to be the new hill at Barn in just 12 seconds. You've already got Hockey getting in position with his NB4 towards top field. If I'm Splyce right now, I want to flood towards this bottom lemon side of your minimap. Force those spawns out for Epsilon and try to just overwhelm one area. It looks like they're going to do just that as Zero and Bance both get in position.
When I look at this matchup, I kind of see Zero. He matches up with Dave, right? Those are your electric superstars that can drop massive numbers. Vortex, he's been Mr. Consistent for this squad, though, and he's playing the same role as Jerd. Vortex got his FTL jump a full minute before Jerd. In fact, Jerd, he still hasn't unlocked it as we go back to the barn. It's been Epsilon the last 2 hills. They have now extended their lead to 30 points and counting. They could have a full minute advantage as we rotate to the next hill.
And this is so rare to see on a map like Throwback. It's great for not only Epsilon right now, but you also look at what you're getting from your team. You have defined roles. Vortex, 31 engagements already, sitting inside that objective. He's got 90 seconds. The rest of his team combined does not even come close. He's trusting in Hockey and Dave to win those gunfights from long range. If Josh begins to pick this up now for Epsilon, I think this will be an absolute blowout.
I'm keeping my eyes on Mad Cat. He is the player watching over a teammate at the bike path. Can he get the job done with the K-bar? Grenades raining from above. Zero's gonna pick up a double though in the center of the map, and this is gonna open some things up. Trinity Rocket just 75 points away, so 1 kill will bring down some missiles from the sky.
Not only a Trinity Rocket, but the reactive armor as well, and I don't even know if Vortex knows how important that kill just was, Puckett. But during all of that, that streak we just saw from Zero, and now the 4th streak from Mad Cat, look at the change in the scoreboard. We're back within a 10-point game.
It's crazy how we're seeing these teams pick up 40 seconds here, 40 seconds there, taking turns, going back and forth. Epsilon, they've had the lead twice. Splyce, they're looking for their 3rd retake on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and Zero, again, back off spawn, just trying to surge towards this hard point. What do Splyce do here? They will not be in control of the spawn again as we move towards this new hard point in baseball. We'll see if things can work out. Dave continuing his monster game. He's now +8, not even getting near the objective, but he doesn't need to when he's shooting this well.
Now look at the spawns here, Jack. Is this a problem for player 7, Vortex?
Oh, well, it definitely is. When Bance is now invisible, he's floating towards this backside of the map, flies so high above the hard point that it doesn't even give the contest symbol, so they have no idea he goes to that play. Unfortunately, he's got no help here. Mad Cat now dead. Jerd last alive. He's trying to use the FTL jump. Unfortunately, doesn't kill off Hawkey. So look at all the payloads being burned right now for Splyce, and in the end, it looks like it'll pay off.
And it looked like we just saw Zero pop in that reactive, so those payloads will be gone for Splyce as his second half rolls on. Dave, though, using his camo. He's going to be fruitless until that kill on Zero, but it's all yellow in the feed. Mad Cat is turning up. Another big two-piece. That's back-to-back kills for Mad Cat, locks it down. Bance on your screen, though, has been with Zero this whole way. Those are the 2-star players leading the squad on Splyce.
On Epsilon right now, yes, I'm annoyed we're down by about 25 seconds, but look at your scoreboard right now. 3 of the 4 payloads used right there from Splyce. Some very impactful abilities that will come into play in the late game now for Epsilon. We'll see if they can use that as a swing moment as we move towards Barn here in about 45 seconds.
Josh's reaction could be so key, especially in that Barn. The FTL jump has been used quite well by Vortex throughout the tournament. It's only a 9-point difference in your scoreboard. Splyce takes control of the center, but for how long? Vortex jumps up, picks off 2, and then dodges away to safety. Now he's going to rotate and try and lock down these better spawns for the next hill at Barn.
Dave just cannot be stopped right now either. The man's already at 32 kills, positive 10. 179 to 165 currently the score. Splyce playing for every second on this train platform, and they did this last time, Puckett, on the rotation, but again, what they did so well was overwhelming towards that lemon side. This time, though, how did Epsilon react? They try to keep Dave over there, but unfortunately, a quick trade comes in from Zero.
Now that was kind of a 3-on-4 fight in the last 2 floods there from Epsilon. Hawkey, player number 5, was sitting at the top. He's been staying by this farmer's market, making sure they have the spawns. So now you have to convert this into points because you just gave up about a 15-point advantage. Vortex is going to find 2. Zero picks up 2 more on the opposite end. But at the end of the gunfight, it's Josh locking down the barn. You have all 4 blue arrows set up to defend. They're going to keep scoring, and once again, another lead change.
That's a little bit of an aggressive push right there from Hawkey. Now with the presence in the back of the map from Bance, he should force this spawn out. Yes, it will come into play. So already, Splyce with a number advantage here. 2 more kills come into play. That, for me, is a completely botched push out middle map from Hawkey right there. Pays the ultimate price by giving up the hard point for his team.
And Splyce has retaken the lead on your scoreboard, 203 and counting to 198. It's up to Mad Cat. Can he defend it again? He got a triple last time here, just shy of the 2nd kill, and that's the one that's going to hurt you. Hawkey finishes him off.
Splyce, their goal right now at this bike path hard point, contest as much time as possible. Wait to use the Centurion at baseball that Mad Cat now has. Josh with a payload of his own will keep track of them as this develops, but it is Splyce with the number advantage on the map now as these NV4s have begun to take over the game.
We're guaranteed 1 more hard point, and it's going to be Splyce retaking the lead, 210 to 209. This one back and forth as the contests come through. Here's a look at Dave, though. You see the spawn he just got. Well, that's what they want as the new hill rotates, but you can't give up these final 30 seconds without contesting.
Oh, Dave again with the help of Hawkey snaps onto the second. This is okay for Splyce so far, though. 216 to 213. They are in control of the spawns for the next hill. They just need to set up and hold the full 40 seconds. But as I say that, Dave hits the 40 bomb at 40 and 27. Oh my God!
41
Dave.
kills and counting. Dave doing damage. Vortex at 32. Both of these players so consistent throughout the game. But it's Dave plus 13, the difference maker.
There we go.
To give Epsilon the lead. Mad Cat, just like you said, though, throwing down that Centurion. What's the game plan here?
Their game plan, first, try to stop these split spawns. The reactive being used by Josh. It's 2 kills from both sides. Mad Cat has a Centurion, which is now blocking the grenades from coming in as well. So this will help Splyce hold off this push. They have the setup they want. One final break opportunity for Epsilon.
Epsilon's got to get it done here. Here come all of the players. No payloads. And it's going to be Bance holding strong. Jern finds a 3rd, just Hawkey up. Bance shuts them down. And with 26 points remaining, this could be it. Epsilon's going to get 1 more push, though. Grenades coming in. Mad Cat with the K-bar. 0 in the feed. Hawkey's able to get a pick, but Jerd and crew are too strong. Epsilon cannot break back through. Splyce scores first.
What did I tell you, Chris? All Splyce want to do is contest as much time as possible. at the lower bike path. Hardpoint keep the spawns in their favor. The difference right there, Centurion was available for both teams, but because Splyce had the spawns, Mad Cat could drop it down. When Epsilon would flood the hill, they'd all be stunned by that payload. I mean, what are Epsilon going to do? Drop their Centurion in blue? It's not going to do anything.
Right.
They wind up ending that game with the payload still available. Splyce winning on that final hill.
Payloads coming into play, but man, what a game from Dave. If you're an Epsilon fan, that is exactly the MVP-like performance you were expecting. If you had a little bit more out of Josh early in the game, and if you had one player kind of controlling the spawns at the very end, I think we could have seen a different outcome.
Wow, what a great start to this best-of-5 series between two of Europe's best teams. But I know as we head into Retaliation Search and Destroy, TP wants to break down the map in game mode for us.
Thanks, guys. As we saw from that map number 1, the smallest things can make the difference here in these huge matches going into the later matches of Sunday. One thing I want to make sure we're all looking forward to in this Retaliation Search and Destroy is the things that are going to be making the hugest difference, and the thing I want to talk about the most is the post-plant positioning of both of these teams. So what I mean by that is, first off, you need to pick a bomb site, lay that bomb down, but I feel like a lot of teams have been struggling at closing out those rounds. The percentages we've seen throughout Stage 1, for example, have been way too low in my opinion, and here's why. So, for example, let's go full screen. I'm going to explain what these teams are most likely doing if they get this bomb down at A. First off, you need to, make the decision to go back to your spawn or push through and get control of either this area here, Cathedral at the top side there, or back up and make sure you're watching your flank towards this back bridge. I feel like these teams do this first step very well. They either push up, they get a good line of sight, whether it's over towards Cathedral or back towards spawn, but then they start making the decision to challenge gunfights way too soon. So instead of just getting this line of sight and gaining as much information as possible on this side of the map, they go and try and just gun someone right away, when all you need to do is use that 45-second bomb timer to your advantage, force the opponents that are wrapping back from the other bomb site, most likely for the retake, over towards Market, over towards Hotel, or all the way around Bridge. Just waste as much time as possible, and if you're able to do that, it's going to force this team to just slow down way too much. By the time they make it all the way over towards this area here, they're only going to have a few seconds left to work with and find the gunfights. It usually doesn't work out. So I feel like if these guys can just play a little bit more conservative on the post-plant positioning, it's going to work out better for you. Keep an eye on that going into this Search and Destroy. Back to the casters for game number 2.
Thanks so much, TP. Conservative play could win you a big S&D game number 2. Splyce, they strike first with the win on Hardpoint throwback. Now as we load up this next map, talk to me about this Search and Destroy. How does it play out in your eyes?
Oh gosh, for me, it's all going to come down to these first bloods, especially the aggressive play towards top patio. We saw a lot of teams this weekend try to use the new strategy we've seen developing on Retaliation Search and Destroy now on offense, where you try to take control of bedroom right away. That gives you an opportunity to go for a late flank or catch your opponent off guard on a great timing, especially on offense. If you don't have patio control, though, you cannot go for that aggression. Retaliation, S&D will be second, and I do want to commend TP there because he was visually getting frustrated at the start of this weekend watching teams play their post-plant, especially on Retal, because they would get the objective down and then just start flying at people, challenging gunfights, instead of just waiting for that time to take down, hold your angles, let the action come to you.
Forgetting the basics of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Once you have the objective down, you have the advantage in the round. Here is a look at the numbers. We talked about the superstars, the MVPs in the series. Dave, 43 with a 1.39. Didn't have to touch the hill. Leave that to guys like Vortex. 0 on the other hand for Splyce. Drops a 40 bomb of his own at the very end. A 1.25 as Splyce takes the win.
What's really interesting for me to look at is there are some absolute veteran Call of Duty players from Europe in this series, right? You've got Josh, he's been competing since I was probably 4 years old. You've obviously got Jerd on the side of Splyce, who's been around at every major event, Mad Cat as well. But then both of these teams have this new talent in the last couple of years that has begun to surge. You think of a team like Cloud9, who also made it into our top 4, a lot of new talent on that lineup. These are the new age players that have come in through the last few years of Call of Duty that have not only looked fantastic, but people are questioning if they can keep this up, especially moving into next year and where the future of Call of Duty goes.
And it's incredible to see just how many more players are getting involved with game battles. People playing it built into the game. That's where you can make a name for yourself before you reach the pro level. Zero, there was murmurs about what he can do in Search and Destroy before he broke out onto the scene. And I want to see, though, from this Epsilon squad, who is their star in Search? Because going up against Luminosity, seemed like everyone had their rounds, but they kind of choked that round 11.
Yeah, they have times where you think they should have an advantage, but then they drop it right away. For example, that not acceptable. You cannot have Dave get first blooded right there with the ERAD inside a garage. I don't know how Josh has even gotten this far.
Yep.
Bance was not expecting anyone to be there. Thankfully, they're still able to trade it, make it a 3-on-2.
You have two players at the top of the stairs. Vortex, though, cuts down Jerd and Mad Cat. So that individual effort from Vortex is going to make this possible for Hockey.
Both players have spotted each other. 50 seconds left in this round. Remember, Epsilon was the team on offense. You can see that bomb down exactly where the first blood did occur. So you're just going to try to trail his opponent now. As again, the clock continues to tick on through. Already 2 kills from Zero. The man dropped 40 in map 1 as well.
And he is looking for a big third to start things off. Hockey on the other end.
This timing.
Starting to run out of time. The players just missing each other once again.
That is heartbreaking for Zero. He should have had a perfect opportunity right there. Hockey now, okay, maybe this time he's better. Oh my goodness gracious, if only he knew. The objective now gonna go down and Zero's picking wrong. It's a 50-50 and this time it doesn't go in his favor.
Zero knows exactly what's happening now, but he has no idea where the opponent is going to set up. And what do you do if you're the defender in this situation? You have to get the kill before you get the defuse, right?
What have I talked about Platt and how important it is in every single round? Zero, he knows it. He goes for the challenge, and there just melts with the NV4. Chris, you got to chuckle a little bit because right there, the confidence to wall run off of scaffolding with an NV4 and play it like you have an ERAD is just ridiculous.
That wasn't even a chuckle. I was just sniffing it like Zero was. He smelled it coming from afar.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a Hockey over here. I know where he hides.
I mean, that's not even the normal way you play that bomb. Typically, you expect the guy to be in top market, right? In that post-plant position. Wondering if that's around where, if you're TP, you're questioning exactly what you just saw right there. He just broke it down for you. And there's Jerd. First blood.
Jerd with the pick using the big boy toy finds the snipe on Josh. So your captain out of the action here for Epsilon. Josh will be able to command the troops, but a 3-on-4 is going to be so tough.
They've now cleared out Bike. They've also cleared Top Hotel. Now they've got to be worried about exactly what's happening. This 3-man hit. And this is what I love about Splyce. They know. They can smell these things from a mile away. They spot top market. Nobody's there. They're expecting a 3-man flank. Instead of getting caught while planting, they'll re-rotate around the map. Brilliant shot call from them to reset the map.
Hockey saw some action over at Bridge, and Dave has just been spotted, called out, and soon to be executed if he peeks this corner.
And think of how, Bance actually kills Jerd right after. That was a very quick kill coming into play. 2 versus 3, Vortex and Hockey trying to retake the site.
And no, yes, he did get down. All right, I thought that bomb was gonna be stopped. Vortex just a bullet shy from preventing the plant. It's a 2-on-2. This is manageable. Splyce starting to fall apart after that team kill from Bance.
Absolutely can still win this Mad Cat though with the NV4. Zero with one of his own as well. Makes it look easy. Another round win for Splyce, but again, Chris, I mentioned it. Splyce, they read it like a book. Epsilon, as they have their first player get blooded down at that lower street, they say, hey, let's just wrap towards Bridge. It's a very obvious play. And here's Splyce, just no, there's no reason to go for a plant right away. We have a ton of time. Let's just move back around the map, flip it into our favor.
This started with Jerd getting first blood on the attack the previous round. Now it's going to be Epsilon moving up aggressively. They have the bomb in tow. Vortex on your screen, leading the lobby with 3 kills. On the other side, actually, Zero with a 4-0 start has been perfect. And look at that bottom right. He's already over 50% towards the reactive. He's working on some Hellfire missiles. And once again, we got Jerd getting first blood. The Trinity rockets could be devastating on this map in particular.
Yeah, Mad Cat just bouncing around. Does Zero get the timing though on this play? I don't believe so. His teammate will die because of it. Thankfully, he's got help here and they stack up for him. No! It doesn't get easier than that for Zero. 6-0. Epsilon at least will know all the streaks that have now been earned But oh gosh, watch that bottom right of your screen. It's about to glow yellow even more. Everything earned. And Zero is so confident, Chris. He's not even playing with the Scarab. He's going right for those 3 higher tiered streaks. And I actually like that a lot because Scorchers on this map in particular are extremely useful at clearing out that top bridge area. You drop them down right across. If you're Splyce now, you push right towards this top bridge area with a streak later on in the game. Hover the rockets and go for a quick plant.
I thought we might even see it here in round number 4. Looks like they want to focus on getting the kills with their weapons first. K-bar in hand here for Jerd. No more sniping.
Ball back.
But the 3 players from Splyce have been spotted. Bomb still in the hands of Bance. And it looks like they're not giving up on the initial plan.
You know what, it makes sense. I don't know, though, why they're exactly pushing this when they've seen multiple already at top patio and they've got no one inside hotel.
Most importantly, the guy who died, it was Bance who had the bomb. Jerd's gonna fall. Dave in the feed twice, makes it only 0 left for Splyce. Vortex, Dave, and Hockey on the defending end.
1 versus 3. Zero's perfect record so far this game. On the line right here, as there's only 30 seconds left. He's already earned a streak. So yeah, I would just jump off the map if I'm Zero right now. He's already earned his streaks. Obviously, if he plants, he doesn't get scored towards his payload. Smart play from him right there.
Taking one for the team, but it's Epsilon who takes round number 4. And it all started with Dave getting the pick on Bance, who was just a little bit too aggressive after initially being scouted.
This is what you gotta love to see from Zero, man. Staying consistent, especially in Search and Destroy. They need it. It was a key to success back in stage 1. But look at Hockey right now from Epsilon. 0 and 3 off the break of this game. Not acceptable when going up against Splyce.
Pre-aiming the lower bomb site is going to be Bance.
How does Josh get here?
And Josh is so slippery. He almost gets the second. Bance is down to 10% health. Needs one bullet, but Bance, he is gonna spray down Dave. Dave missed every hip fire shot.
Why are you throwing a nade right there? Did the one-shot call out come in too late? Bance has another free kill in front of him. There it is. 3 kills for Bance this round.
Ace.
Get the ace right now, Ben. Go for it.
It's been called out. Bance could pinch. He's waiting for Jerd, though. They are not panicking. Jerd's, in fact, even the bait. And here it comes. Hockey tag. Bance gonna finish. Ace him up, baby.
One of the future players, one of the superstars of competitive Call of Duty in the European region, showing it right there with the submachine gun. What an ace, Dave, with the huge blunder by trying to throw a nade at a player with less than 10% HP. It's got to be a late call out. That's what it has to be.
I feel like so many other teams, though, they would have just, you know, tried to rush in by themselves, be a hero. I like that Splyce took the extra 10 seconds to do that one safely. Now you have Bance, who has a Scarab so close, but most importantly, look at the camo that could come into play in the next 3 rounds.
And again, don't forget everybody at home, Zero still with his full streaks. They haven't popped anything yet. And I think they don't want to go for what is typically the obvious, you know, A push where you hover the rocket and go for a plant. They're trying to get some information on how many players are here. So now here's what should happen. Bance should begin to push towards this site. You should watch Zero call, watch the Trinity rockets. They're gonna drop in very, very slowly. He's just gonna hover this, hover this, hover this. Now let's go back to Bance. Look at this plant time. Look, plant is now done. The Trinity rockets bought them those seconds to plant the objective. They'll fall right on back. Great stuff from Splyce.
And most importantly, you got a man advantage with those Trinity rockets as well. So David's going to fall at the hands of Jerd. Only 2 players left, make it only
Brilliant.
1, and we're not even going to get to Josh's screen before Zero cuts him down in your round-ending kill cam.
Brilliant, man. This is exactly what Splyce need to look like, not only in this series, but they're playing for a spot in the grand finals to face off against the exact same team they saw at the Stage 1 playoffs. And this is exactly how they have to play S&D Puckett if they're going to have a chance in that best of 5 and to even then go on to win 2 against Luminosity.
It's kind of a flip from what we saw in Birmingham. It was Epsilon striking first in the series, now Splyce looking dominant in the rematch. Zero, ridiculous search and destroy. 9 and 2, still has the Scorchers, still has the bombardment, and you have Bance with the Scarab.
I don't think you call it in. So right there, what he did, he just pinged his streak, saw everyone was already inside hotel, decides, you know what, let's hold on to that for another day. Questionable challenge right there from Bance, as he'll get first blooded. It's now 4v3 in favor of Epsilon.
The only round that Epsilon has won so far is when Dave outshot Bance and got first blood. Something similar here at the start of round 7.
This is huge from Jerd. He sees him on the bomb. There should be a trade. FTL jump nearly gets the kill. 3 versus 2.
Oh no, Mad Cat couldn't get the escaping players. Could have tied it up at a 2-on-2. Instead, it's Epsilon who keeps the man advantage. Mad Cat gonna find Josh Hockey though in the feed. We'll find him. 1-on-2 for Zero. You have streaks. Do you go for it here or do you jump off the map?
Look at how scared they are. They can't push this site yet with 2 streaks ready to go. You also have reactive armor from Zero. I mean, it's gonna get down to a point where Zero knows now they still haven't planted. He can just call the streak in. They've got to be on the site. I'm surprised he hasn't called it in yet. They have to be on the site right now. Oh.
I don't know if you take the gamble and try and be a hero here, and I think that's exactly what you have the veterans Mad Cat and Jerd saying in your ear. If you're gonna get the job done, do it with brute force skill. Your reactive could come in if needed, but he's looking for the early pick. There it is, free kill. Didn't get tagged up, but you have no idea where player number 3 Vortex is.
Well, guess what? Patio, it's always a key area. I don't know if he actually, he did.
Yeah, he saw that.
He's taking a lot of time right now. Now, this round's done. This should be all Zero unless Vortex gets a little bit too overeager towards these back stairs. Zero still has a chance. Does he check it in time? No, the player's right next to him. Zero. Oh, at the end. Not enough. Epsilon will live to see another round.
The crowd's cheering, but Splyce doesn't get the round, guys. The bomb is down, and it's Epsilon who is going to make this now 2-5. They need to rattle off 5 straight rounds to win this game. That's the first.
Big thing there for Splyce. Zero doesn't use the streak. He doesn't use the reactive armor.
Right.
Try to just do it off his own merit. Great stuff from him. And now Splyce, they still have a ton of tools to work with. Yes, they gave up that round, but in the end, I think it was the right decision.
And I do want to give credit to Vortex as well. This is a high-pressure 1v1.
Yeah.
He doesn't panic and challenge. He waits off the clock, and he secures the round for Epsilon. Josh is going to push in after Vortex gets first blood, but Jerd trades it out. Here comes Dave. The K-Bar is going to find 3 players, but 0 kills. Jerd doing the damage here in round number 8. This could be it for Splyce, but now all of a sudden it's a 1v1, Zero versus Vortex.
Here's the thing, he's got reactive armor, and it's Zero. Did you doubt him for a second, folks? The man drops 12 in Search and Destroy, a 6.0 KD, as our Stage 1 MVP puts his team within 1 maps of a 2nd consecutive grand final.
What a ridiculous start from Zero as well. I remember looking at the scoreboard and being like, wow, Zero's at 9-2. We're so focused on his reactive, on his streaks, we forgot to check how many kills he was actually picking up in that game. A ridiculous lights out Search and Destroy performance. And now you got Epsilon reeling. Their back is against the wall. It's obvious that that matchup against Luminosity is in their head. It's affecting their gameplay a bit. Either that or Splyce is just coming in with so much momentum after that win over Cloud9.
And you think of what we just saw right there too. Zero, he doesn't use that reactive armor the round before, saves it for where he knows where his opponent is. That's all he needed. He needed the knowledge of where the guy was. Once he had that, he went for the challenge, popped the reactive armor right after. Splyce getting the better of their European counterparts right here. They're up 2-0, and now they're going into statistically their best game mode of the weekend. They've only dropped 1 uplink. Will they sweep Epsilon to head to the grand finals? Let's find out.
We got a massive matchup coming up here. Here are your G Fuel key players in the matchup. Dave from Epsilon going up against Jerd, the great Irishman, representing Splyce.
Yeah, both of these guys will be flying around the map, keeping the gas pedal forward. As on Frost Uplink, you can see both of these guys begin to excel, especially in the slaying. Ridiculous KDs from both so far, but the big difference here is Splyce. Their only loss at Uplink has come here on Frost, and it was to E6 earlier on. We'll see if Dave can match his 43 kills from map 1 to help possibly get his team a potential reverse sweep in this best of 5. This has been your G Fuel key player matchup.
At the start of the game, we had Josh, which was very weird because not everyone knows he wanted to leave before Infinite Warfare even hit the stores. So he really wanted out the whole season. And we had a talk at Paris, a team talk, when we lost to, I think it was FaZe or Envy. And it was just one big disagreement. And then he wanted to go after that night. It was a Saturday night. So it was like we had a player that didn't really want to be there. Then we got a player that wanted to be there. And it was just improvement, 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 which is what you need. If you're not improving, then you're just wasting time, as I said.
Winning season 1 was a big motivation boost for my team as well, being that it is possible to beat American teams. For us as a team, it just means that we know that we can compete with the best.
It's like a sense of accomplishment, but it's not something you can just rely on to live off. You kind of have to just keep going and still bring them first places, even just top 2, just show that you still have it. It's not a one of them wonder. And for the European scene, it's a sigh of relief that you can actually win.
It's literally just, we wanted it more than anyone else, regardless of the strategies and stuff like that. We played well as a team. The chemistry in this team is insane.
There you have it. Give them a round of applause. Splyce, your Stage 1 playoff champion.
Splyce just raised the first trophy for Europe back at the Stage 1 playoffs. At that event, they locked in some serious cash, but they never got the opportunity to do it in front of a crowd like we have here in Anaheim. This win right here would send them to back-to-back championship matches against Luminosity.
And what I love about that video is you hear exactly about the story of this team from the start of Infinite Warfare to now, and Mad Cat bringing up the amount of improvements they've seen. Their eyes are on another grand final, another win, because they want to prove to not only the rest of the North American teams, but the European squads as well, that this was not a fluke victory at the Stage 1 playoffs. That's been something in the back of their mind this weekend, and they're on the verge of making it there, one map away.
If you guys are just joining us this weekend, welcome to the party. This is the CWL Anaheim Open. We started with hundreds of teams. We are down to the final 3. And for the first time ever, we're seeing 2 European teams in our top 3. The only question is, which one is moving on to play in that championship match for the $80,000 grand prize? So far, it's been all Splyce. You started off with Zero dropping a 40 bomb in the Hardpoint. He shows up even bigger in the Search and Destroy, fully streaked out before the game was halfway over, and he sealed the deal with the reactive, picking up the final kill.
Another thing to note right now at your map breakdown, we see right here, Frost Uplink, the only Uplink we've seen Splyce lose so far this weekend. It was a 2-point loss, 8-6 overall to Enigma 6 earlier on today. Can Epsilon find the same fortune here to at least force another hard point? We'll have to find out. It's Frost Uplink between the, I'm going to say it right now, the 2 best European teams, no doubt in my mind. Arguably the best in the world right now, Splyce up against Epsilon.
Red Reserve trying to be that 3rd best team. Teams like Elevate, they have disappeared as the season has gone on. As a squad, Epsilon has rose through the rankings. They are now the 2nd best team, trying to become the best, but they're gonna have to win 3 straight. And you're going up against a ridiculously strong Splyce team when it comes to Uplink. But if you watch the matchup in the winner's bracket semifinals, you saw it was Splyce jumping off to a ridiculous hot start. They were up 9 points, Jack, but in the final 2 minutes of the game, Epsilon narrowed that gap to just a 1-possession game.
And look, we talked about Jerd in our key player matchup. Look at the aggression he's already bringing on the map. He's got the drone inside ship. He's got a lead blocker. They're not aware, though, of Josh right behind him. Movement from Jerd, staying alive. Gets the armor reset, almost the 1. That would have been a disgusting play in the first 30 seconds of this one. How did Vance even get the drone right there? A little back and forth between the teams as it will reset.
Yeah, Mad Cat tried to dish it out to him and see if Vance could get a better angle for a one-point toss. Doesn't happen here. And you're going to see Epsilon now look to control the center of the sub-bay. Dave, he's got an SMG in hand, and we rarely see this.
Yeah, he's just trying to get aggressive with the rest of his team. This is the map where if there's any combination of game and mode, it is Frost Uplink, where you will see 3, 4 SMGs on the map. You know it's an SMG heavy map when earlier this year Formal brought out an ERAD with an ELO site alongside Crim 6.
Shots on the way down. Jerd's gonna fall off the map. Credit to Josh for the kill. And it looks like Epsilon is gonna just let this drone sit down and reset until Josh comes in, scoops it up. He will fall. 3 were down, but Mad Cat, the lone member of Splyce, is gonna pick up this drone, and he actually has a clear lane. This is a one-point toss if he gets around this corner.
Intercepted, though, immediately by Epsilon. That is what you want to do, folks. At home, you know they're pushing forward with that drone. He's so weak, he only has one option, and that is to go for a throw. Before he even sees Mad Cat turn the corner, he's already hovering in the air, waiting for that drone to be thrown forward.
All Epsilon was seeing for a moment there was death screen as it was Vance clearing the way. Jerd is going to convert it into a one-point play. Mad Cat and Jerd staying up just long enough. And Jerd, the last man standing at the end of that skirmish, is still applying pressure in the base. Can we see Splyce grab this drone and rotate it back through sub? They had total control. Everyone from Epsilon is outside. But now Jerd has to sprint home. This drone is going the opposite direction towards the Splyce base.
What did I say back in the first hardpoint? Jerd, when he can get in the opponent's base, is just a thorn in the side of his enemy. The man's now 9-5, was able to stop that drone from being thrown in as well. But unfortunately for Splyce, it's 4 dead and a potential dunk on the way for Epsilon.
Here comes the train, and it's a drone down. No dunk yet. Was it Jerd again on Hawkeye there, stopping the drone? I believe so. Vance now has it in hand. Splyce is going to wrap it around the perimeter, and keep your eyes on Jerd. Not only did he go on a 6 streak, I believe he also has score streaks after getting that one-point toss.
They try to go for a dunk. Meanwhile, they didn't get the second wave of kills. Everyone was already spawned up back helipad for Splyce. You mentioned Jerd, again, the defensive hold. He just stayed there pre-aiming that one doorway with his submachine gun and got 3 kills.
Splyce losing the fights outside, so they're gonna have to slow this down. You see Zero pre-aiming with the K-bar, backing up. He knows this drone is gonna come through. Epsilon in their last 2 attempts have looked for dunks. No one-point attempts quite yet.
Zero just trying to watch the side door. Dave, unfortunately, charging forward the drone. It's a one-shot player right after as well, but this will be a dunk for Epsilon.
No, drone's on the ground. Both Vortex and Hawkeye were looking forward. Hawkeye has to double back, putting all kinds of pressure on Vortex, but Vortex is able to get the job done. Stalls out for an extra 5 seconds, and Hawkeye stays alive. He's about to unlock some rockets here.
This is the Hawkeye Epsilon's been missing earlier in this series. 13-7 now on a 5 streak, 1 more kill. He'll have everything to use at his disposal within the last minute of side 1. It's Splyce going for their second throw of the game.
Vance on that wall run, Hawkeye on the flank. Josh just picked up the first kill on Zero. Mad Cat, he's sprinting around, and somehow Vance is staying up with that drone for way too long. At the end of it all, it's Vortex taking the drone away, and he is going to reset this in the middle of the map. Both teams trying to establish their map positioning before moving forward with the objective.
Great job so far by Epsilon at just stopping the bleeding in their base. They've only given up 1 throw to the side of Splyce. So far, the slaying pretty darn even. I actually think it's dead even, yeah, at 0. No advantage for either side, but with that flurry of kills right there, it should be a dunk for Splyce to take the lead going into side 2.
Jerd used the Trinity rocket there to secure that dunk. Epsilon's looking for a fast break. 2 players stacked up. Jerd, though, sitting and waiting, is going to find one. Drone is pushed forward, but there's only 2 Epsilon members here. Dave's going to find one. Josh finds 2, but it's not fast enough. Splyce, they will have a narrow 1-point advantage going into the second half. I have to ask you, Jack, is there a preferred side here on Frost, and did Splyce do enough in the first half?
I think Splyce will perform better, actually, on side 2 with how they like to play this one. From what we saw earlier on, they were a very versatile team with feeling confident with either pushing towards that outer cliff area or refocusing towards sub-bay. They also have the #1 route on this map now, which is basically you grab that drone in middle map and you bring it towards that little tunnel just behind it near that dozer and drop it down to slay out near that inside ship area. We'll see if they use that to their advantage here, as it's already 3 dead on Epsilon. The final player's been spotted, 4 down.
And Zero is moving this drone up very quickly. 2 defenders pop it up, make it 3 now, all in position to stop this score. With all 4 players up on defense, you need the kills, or you can just be Zero, get enough distraction from your teammates, and turn that corner, hitting the 1-point play.
I like how you put that, Chris. It literally was just that. They were just sending their bodies out there, giving him enough time to soak those few bullets he needed to throw in that 1-point play. This is the largest lead in the game for Splyce now, and it's only a 1-possession game.
And you look at the numbers, I mean, they're pretty solid. Hockey, he's giving you positive numbers. Vortex, he's back to even. Josh has been up and down, currently down 2. But Dave, this map just does not fit his play style nearly as strong as a map like Precinct or Throwback. And you can see the effect in the scoreboard. 9 and 14, your MVP has been shut down up to this point.
And look at this. This is the pressure Splyce wanted to put on, keep the drone in Epsilon's base. Thankfully, the submachine guns from Epsilon wake up for a brief moment there and shut down that push. Do we see a crafty FTL play here?
I think you do. Vortex has shown it 3 times in this tournament from what I've seen. And he's actually going to dish that off as he's hit with the jammer. The FTL goes up and over. It's a player waiting for him, but on the back end, the teammate Hockey grabs the drone and dunks it through. Again, distraction while your objective player carries it in.
It was like when you dangle something shiny in front of a little kid. They FTL jump in the sky, 3 players look up at him. The overdrive drone carrier runs right beneath and goes for the score. We're tied back up with 3 minutes left. Payload's being used exceptionally well so far in this game.
Dave with drone. No camo to speak of. He's not even halfway there yet, and we're down to the last 3 minutes of the game. On the opposite end, keep your eyes on Bance. He's about 75% of the way towards his camo. Mad Cat, he is so close to his payload as well. Here comes Bance, though. Erad into won't work this time against Vortex. Jerd's going to find Josh. A skirmish in the middle of the map, but neither team set up yet to run this drone.
Yeah, I don't think they meant to throw that off right there. It kind of just bounced off the map on its final hop. As Zero and crew, they were set up for a cliff bush, but now they'll have to try to fight for mid-control. Thankfully, Bance off spawn does get the 2-piece. Wow.
Only reason this isn't a score yet is Vortex stopped the drone carrier.
Yeah.
You had Zero as a lead blocker. You had Bance on the back end. Vortex stopping them short, but for how long? It seems Splyce is starting to heat up here.
There we go. That's a dunk. Mad Cat will fly on through.
Thank you.
6-4. And remember, Dave still in the last minute since you mentioned that camo. Can we go to Dave really quick? Has not gotten a single kill. He has, oh, there we go. That was his first right there. Now at 11, still only about 50% of the way there.
The attempts are going to be wall run tosses. Splyce sniffs this out. They know it's coming. And look at the flank. The low run from Jerd catches Josh. It's going to be droned down. It's only a 1-possession game, but a minute 40. This is starting to get difficult for Epsilon. Shots going back and forth. Mad Cat wins a big one against Hockey.
Again, what are Splyce doing a great job keeping the drone away from the ship bay side. They're so much better when they can get towards cliff, get behind some cover. Do not let Epsilon keep controlling that close side of the map. They have no easy 1-point throw. Splyce are a great team at intercepting that drone when they go for that outer research push. Epsilon, they must be so frustrated.
This is where Epsilon turns up, though, Jack. In the last minute on Throwback, this is when Epsilon turned all the kills into points. They got control of their enemy's base, and they were able to rally dunk after dunk. Splyce, all you have to do, hold for 60 seconds. The drone is pushed into the Splyce base. Vortex looking for the pick, but it's scooped up by Bance, and Bance is going to take it the opposite direction. No one from Epsilon in position to stop this drone moving forward from Splyce.
Josh just made a questionable decision, too, before this push, going by himself into ice. Thankfully, he's able to come back off spawn. He gets help from Hockey. 30 seconds remaining for Epsilon's tournament hopes.
Splyce was cut down, but they hold strong on the defensive end. Mad Cat and Zero, they're now Jerd with the melee holding the drone. Zero is going to be pushing this one up. He's going to take it on the wall run and just wear down this clock. They're not looking for a score. They're just trying to keep it away from Epsilon. A perfect strategy here in the final minute. Splyce, 15 seconds away from moving on to our grand final.
They're going to do just that. Puckett to add insult to injury. It's a pass to Bance. The invis has been popped. GG. Splyce will move on to back-to-back CWL Grand Finals up against Luminosity.
We got a whole lot of North Americans here in California cheering on the teams. But I know the countrymen back in the UK are so happy for the boys on Splyce. Epsilon, they showed us what they're capable of this week, and finishing top 3 is an incredible feat in itself. But we are all getting the rematch we were hoping for. Luminosity and Splyce, the championship match from stage 1 from the playoffs. It's happening again, this time in front of a sea of people.
Yeah, the last time we had a crowd this large for a major EU versus NA battle, it was the Call of Duty World League Championships Grand Final last year between Envy and Splyce. I'm expecting to hear some EU versus USA chants out there, folks, but we have it set. From 100-plus teams down to 2, your Grand Finals between Luminosity and Splyce takes place right after this quick break.